Welcome to the channel. Today, we're exploring some unbelievable story. Stay tuned and let's dive in. Were the signs present or not? I suppose they were, but I didn't recognize or expect to see them. Perhaps it was discovering one hint at a time that did not send off alarms that anything was amiss, nor did finding 2 or 3 wake me up. I was simply another kind and caring husband and parent, and while the indicators were discovered inadvertently and by coincidence over time, they weren't put together until that tragic night. Our lives together were pretty similar to those of other married couples. I suppose we knew good and terrible times. There was no huge issue that came to light or struck me in the face. My wife never informed me there was a significant problem, and she always notified me when she had one. No, nothing was wrong with our connection, our marriage, or my wife. Nothing was happening that I could see. Damn it, all right, okay, call me stupid, unobservant, or too trusting, whatever, but I didn't see anything happen or change until it slammed me square in the jaw. But suddenly there were just as many things wrong, and when I added them all up, I realized we had the most serious issue a marriage could face another person in our life. I planned to face her tonight when she came home. I planned to face my wife of 8 years with the evidence I had gathered as proof of her adultery. I was afraid that things would end horribly. I was terrified that what I was thinking and discovering was real, and I honestly loved her so much that I was dying inside about what would happen when we spoke. But I had no option. I needed to ask her what was going on and then wait for the hammer to fall. Perhaps she'll confess and beg me to remain with her. God, I hope so, because I loved her more than life itself, and I would probably forgive her as long as it stopped. So let me start from the beginning. The first thing I noticed was a lack of closeness. We switched from 2 or 3 times a week to 2 or 3 times a month. This has been going on for around 3 months. She said that she was just exhausted after a long day at work. I was aware she was working more. We haven't had a week alone in the last month. She was constantly being paged at the medical institution. But it wasn't simply a lack of closeness, a sense of love and compassion was also lacking. She said I was crazy and it was all in my head. When we did have intimacy, it was typically directed and controlled by her, and it happened faster than previously. Now, I'm not a blazing star, and neither are most wives. But for the last 8 years, we've made love for at least 1 hour, if not 2. Now it felt like she was only ready to give me 20 minutes. Then she would try really hard to get me to climax as rapidly as possible. I used to hug her and make love to her for another half hour after intercourse, which sometimes led to our doing it again. When I slid off of her, she quickly got up and went to the restroom. I could hear her washing herself fully. When she got into bed, she would lie with her back to me. Things like that made me realize she no longer cared about me. So I tried harder, only to be rejected again and again. There hasn't been any intimacy for almost 3 weeks. The second hint was her demeanor. Her demeanor altered, she became enraged at me much quicker. Her generosity and concern for everyone, even the children, were significantly lessened. Lily was far more quick-tempered than she had ever been. The previously lovely and compassionate lady had transformed nearly overnight into someone I didn't recognize. Sometimes, her attitude toward me was along the lines of, "Leave me alone," or "I guess I have to put up with you again today." She would respond with a simple, "What," or "What now," or "I don't feel like it tonight," etc. That leads me to the terrible night when everything went to hell. I arrived home on time from work, and because it was a Saturday night, I assumed we'd go out to supper, as we typically do on weekends. She worked long hours and neither of us felt like dealing with the food dishes, etc. She had sent the kids to her mother's or my parents' house on weekends, as she always did. It used to be excellent since it allowed us to spend time together, but now it merely allowed her to shout and be angry at me with no children around to keep her civil. And she'd really tell me off. So I attempted some extras, such as flowers and presents. I'd given her flowers today. As I entered the home and undid my tie, I saw them in the living room. I said, "Babe, I am home." "Are we going out for supper tonight?" she replied. "Come upstairs, I want you to see my new outfit." "Yes, we are going," she said. She appeared okay. At least her voice did not include vinegar or pepper. Thus far, so good. I would be as pleasant as I could, and maybe we might have a good time together. I phoned back, "All right, I'll be right up." I told myself, another new outfit. Christ, it's the 5th one this month, but no intimacy, bad moods from working too much, and new outfits alone don't mean anything to a husband. I mean, hell, I was raised to believe that women had to have new clothes all the time, so I didn't mind if my wife brought new clothes. The world was created so that women might shop, spend money, and purchase goods. It's what makes the world go around, right? It particularly didn't imply that my wife was cheating on me. When I walked into our bedroom, Lily was sporting a really short dress, about 8 or 9 inches above the knee. Her buttocks were only covered by the bottom of the garment, which was tight. Anyone could tell she wasn't wearing anything underneath. The dark blue outfit highlighted her beautiful physique. That was like claiming the Super Bowl was simply another football game. The first thing that sprang to mind was that she seemed to be unmarried and 25 years old, going out to clubs with her buddies. I grinned and said, "Is that it?" She smiled and said, "Yep." "How do I look, baby?" Now, Lily looks amazing when she wakes up after a long night of partying and cuddling. So here she was, with her hair done and cosmetics on, standing while sliding on the left high heel. As she leaned backward, her torso arched and her hips pushed outward somewhat as she bent her knee and adjusted the shoe with her hand. She appeared hotter than the sand on Cancun's beaches in August. Without thinking, I responded, "Where are you going?" "Going out with the gals or clubbing?" "You look like a 23-year-old babe looking for some hot action." I thought she looked like the girl you see at every bar and dance club. You know, there is always one who sticks out and looks great. But when I told her what I did, I thought to myself, did I just say that? Did I mention that? I intended it both as a compliment and as a joke to her. She still looked like she was in her early 20s at 29 years old, despite having 2 children. But Lily misinterpreted it and informed me that she was certain that many guys would mistake her for a 23-year-old. And I certainly didn't realize the effort it required for her to remain that way. She was very furious. She just leaped on me. The attitude towards me was clearly different. I remarked, "Wait a minute, Lily. You're unhappy for no reason. You asked, and I told you how I felt. You look terrific, baby. It's simply that you don't often wear such tight, short outfits. It's not that you can't wear them, it's just that you haven't worn one in years." She said, "Well, get used to it, buddy, because I've chosen to dress as I want, and I feel like I'm 23. Thank you very much. I was sure you'd like seeing me get dressed up for tonight. I've worked hard to bring my stomach back down to size 22, which was my college size, but no, of course not. Not you. You believe I am too old, too overweight, or whatever, and as usual, you make fun of me." I corrected myself, "Whoa, wait a minute. I was kidding with you. You look super, and your body looks as good now as it ever has, better even. But I just think that dress is a little too short and tight." "Whatever. She said it anyway, sexy. For an old married woman to wear out to eat dinner. Well, I'm not an old married woman, and I love the way I look. People at work told me I look fantastic." I said, "The people at work? You wear that to work?" "Jesus, Lily." Her hands on her hips caused the dress to rise another inch, and every movement she made caused it to rise a little further, and it didn't go back down till she pushed it down. She stared at me like I was the stupidest guy on the face of the world. Her response was, "Of course not. Are you crazy?" I bought it while I was on lunch and then put it on and showed everyone just before I left to come home. I did. Well, you know what? Not one person that saw me in it told me it wasn't a great outfit or that I didn't look great in it. Then my husband comes home and just criticizes it and me. I joked, "The dress does look great on you, Lily. If you were going clubbing and partying with the girls, you know, looking for sex and single again, then I'd say if I saw you out, I'd say, wow, you're dressed for sex. I know if I was a guy in a club, it would get my full attention if you walked past me." Her response was, "How do you say I look like I'm dressed for sex? And you might as well not even think about that. But you won't be getting any sex from the old married woman for quite some time. In fact, you have a good idea. Maybe I'll just call Clara and we'll go clubbing, since I'm dressed for sex." Clara was the single lady with a kid, and Lily went out with her once every other week or so to shop, see movies, or have supper, but she was always home by 11 p.m., so that was okay, right? They were like sisters. Then she said, yes, maybe I should go clubbing. Clara has asked me to do that with her before when we go out, but since she's single and I'm not, I didn't go. Maybe I need a younger man to appreciate me, and I bet I'd get some nice young guy to dance with me in this outfit. She ran her hands down the dress, straightening it, and making sure I saw how it accentuated her body. Then she continued, maybe I'll meet a young man who appreciates the way I look and the... I've responded, what? I'm always telling you how good you look and how beautiful you are. I don't know where you get off saying these things. I had been married long enough to know that whatever I said from now on would only irritate her more, but I'm a man, damn it, and the dumbest that I am, I couldn't let it go. Finally, after what seemed like 5 minutes of her raving at me, I held up my hand, walked right up to her, and looked her in the eyes. I then realized that the heels she had made were about the same height. Now, I said, wait a second. Back up the truck. Lily, you call me up to the bedroom as soon as I walk into the house. I've seen God knows how many new outfits on you in the last 3 months. They all looked great. Did you hear me? I said great. I spelled it. Then I said, you asked me what I think of this one. It's the sexiest of all of them so far. Then, when I try to kid with you about it, you get pissed off. You get pissed off. Then, when I try to explain, she inquired, what do you mean? I said, it appears I can't win either way here. I said, look, Lily, you look fantastic, and you don't need a dress like that to prove it. As long as we're together, you can wear whatever you want, but I just don't want you to wear something that tight, that short, out with Clara or when I'm not with you. It could only lead to trouble. But let's know. She said, oh, and I guess that's my fault. It's my fault that some drunk runs into a phone pole and I get called because there's an emergency at the medical center. We try to save him. I get paid. It's my job. My job. But just like yours, I get paged and have to go in. I'm not going to apologize to you for that. You'll have to deal with it. You sure don't fight about the extra money coming in, and don't ever tell me I corrected myself, extra money. I bet you've spent more than you bring in with all these new clothes. But it's not the money, babe, it's not that at all. Lily, it's every time we get to go out alone, you get called away, and we don't get to spend an evening alone together. It's like they have a camera here and know when we might be going to have a good time, and when they see that, they call you. God knows, our intimacy is almost non-existent these past 3 months. So I responded, come on, let's go to dinner as soon as I shower. She didn't respond, but gazed in the mirror and smiled as she turned around. She turned and went out of the room. I watched her go by me and down the hallway in the dress, and I stood there thinking, welcome home. What the hell happened? I didn't even think about cheating when we went to dinner that night, and she wore the dress, much to my displeasure, but I didn't say anything because I knew the dinner would have. I had to admit that Lily looked incredible. I just didn't like her wearing it if we weren't together, and it really didn't fit with the restaurant and what we were doing. But as long as she only wore it when she was with me, then I was okay with it, as okay as I could be. It didn't cross my mind that she could wear it without me anytime she wanted. She sure looked like she was out hunting for a man or men. The outfit almost screamed, I want to get drilled hard by someone, Anyo. The conversation wasn't much, and no matter how hard I tried to talk about it, I got one word or one sentence answers. Finally, I just sat there and drank my drink. The dinner arrived, and I had taken maybe 2 bites when damn if her cell phone didn't ring. She looked at the number and then ignored it. Then, 10 minutes later, it rang again, and she looked at the phone and me and still didn't answer it. She said, maybe you're right. She got up from the table, giving half the place a nice long view up her thighs as she swung her legs out of the booth. The dress had ridden up her body just like it was supposed to do. It was so short now that I got a flash of the tops of her thigh-high stockings under it. I knew the guys in front of our booth saw much more. And then, without pulling the dress down at all, she walked away towards the ladies' room. I swear I could see the bottoms of her butt cheeks as she walked. When she returned, I asked if everything was fine, and she sighed and said, no, but look, I have to go. I have to leave now. They want me to assist with an emergency operation. I'm glad I did take the call. It's a little girl who fell and we have to relieve the pressure in her head. Look, I'm sorry, I have to go. I responded, we can try again tomorrow, okay? She replied, I know you have to go, so go. She looked at me for a few seconds. Damn, she looked so beautiful in that dress. I said, are you going home to change first? She said, no, I'll get one of those green doctor's outfits at the medical center. Look, this could take quite a while. I'm sure it's a major operation. I've got to run. I'll get a snack before I get to work. She kissed me goodbye, sliding her lips across mine. She walked out as all the men watched her on the corner. She caught a CA. I sat there wondering what the folks in the medical center were going to say when she came in and they saw how she was dressed. Then I remembered she had already shown them the dress. I ate and went home with Lily's dinner in a box, just in case she was hungry when she got home. I saw the light on the answering machine blinking and pressed play. A man's voice came on and said, Lily, this is Sean. Can you break free? I need you tonight. Please call me as soon as you get. I figured they called her at home first, then, when they couldn't reach her, they called her cell phone while I was there. There were 4 messages from Sean, but new, sexy clothes, no intimacy, a tense wife who goes nuclear on her husband for the smallest thing, and a bunch of messages from the same guy. All of these don't make for a cheating wife, at least not in my little brain. I dialed the number, and it rang and rang before someone picked it up. A voice said, Lily, are you on your way yet? I said, this is Lily's husband, and yes, she is on her way. Who is this, please? The voice said, this is Dr. Sean Lawson. I work with Lily at the medical center. She told me she was going to leave you at the restaurant 25 minutes ago. Where is she? I informed him she was on her way, and then I asked him why he had been calling here so frequently. He suddenly became agitated and said, look, I call her when I want her. I call her when I need her here to help me. It's her job, okay? Then he disconnected up, slamming the phone down in my ear. I told no one, add another one to the growing list. New sexy clothes, no intimacy, pissed off all the time at me, multiple phone calls from the same guy who said he needed her and wanted her there. There was nothing about work, and then the guy gets nasty with me when I ask him a simple question about the number of calls from him. I knew later that Lily would go absolutely nuts on me for even asking him that question. But all that doesn't mean crap, and it certainly doesn't mean my wife is cheating on me. But I did say, God, what a life. So I sat down and waited for her to come home. I turned on the TV, but there was nothing on that I really wanted to watch, so I got up and washed up the dishes in the sink. Then I went into the bedrooms and got the laundry, and I figured I'd wash the clothes while I waited for her to come home. We both washed the clothes and shared what needed to be done. I was closing the hamper as I finished up with our bathroom, and I noticed a lacy, light blue bra behind it, but there was something caked on it. It was a white, creamy color between the cups and over one of them. At first, I thought it was food, but then I picked. As I sorted the clothes, I noticed a bunch of new colored underwear from Blooming Lingerie or Silk and Lace Company already in the washer. She must have forgotten to dry them. Lily had about a dozen new undergarments, including thongs, which she had never worn before, as far as I knew. Let's say she never wore them for me. There were bras I had never seen before, and they did more than, shall we say, pushed up, lifted, or separated her breasts. Some were just a sort of half-BR. I began to separate the dirty clothes, the bleach items from the other colored items, and that's when I noticed a pair of tan panties hiding inside a pair of slacks. It looked like she took them off quickly, and at the same time, I picked up the slacks and pulled the panties out of the inside. I was about to throw them with the other clothes when I stopped. They were also stained with the same white stuff, and it was caked and stuck on like dried food. I had to scrape. I glanced at them, bewildered, and said, wait a minute, wait just a minute. It was semen. Jesus Christ, there was semen on one of the new beautiful bras and in her underwear. I was shouting down to no one, what the hell, Lily? I went into the kitchen and got a beer. My mind was racing as I jotted down everything that had happened between Lily and me: new sexy clothes, a nasty attitude toward me and no intimacy, phone calls from the same guy, and now new underwear and a sex stain. I called the medical center and asked for Lily. The lady told me, I think she's gone. Left around 9:30 p.m. Please hold on a minute. I said, 9:30 p.m. That was 30 minutes ago. She should be here now or very soon. I was on hold when the lady came back. She said, yes, sir, she left at 9:30 p.m., but she was taking a couple of people home. They were going to stop off for a drink and some dinner first. She said if her husband. I told the lady yes and thanked her, but knowing how she was dressed made me very upset. She should have known better than to wear that type of outfit if she was on call. This would be the 5th weekend in a 2-month period that something like this had happened, would be somewhere, and she'd be paged and have to leave. I was furious now, so I decided to look through the rest of Lily's belongings. I was going to take the panties and bra to a lab and have a friend run a test to see what was on them for sure, and if it was sperm, I would ask him to also run a DNA test for me. I added the late dinner with some friends to the ever-growing list of things we would talk about later on. Now to check out Lily's stuff. I went over her clothes and found 2 blouses that had butt. When I took the last of the low-cut outfits out and held it up, I smelled something sweet. I inhaled deeply and held it up to my nose. I discovered a pair of slacks ripped in the back, on the seam around her hips, as well as a couple of other items that were ripped, as if someone was trying to get them off too quickly or they were being pulled and stretched. All of the clothes were new and had only been worn a few times. They were very erotic looking, just like the dress she wore tonight. There were a few other things that had different odors on them, none of which are recognized. There was a group of clothes I had never seen before in plastic bags from the store where she had purchased them or fresh from the cleaners, and they still had sales slips or cleaning tags on them. As I checked the cleaning bags, I could see that they were taken. I said I left the clothes and took a shot and checked the calendar on Lily's PC. There wasn't much to go on, but the letters PF and RS, or Meet Clara, on different dates for the past 3 months was all that was there. If she was cheating, she wouldn't Clara. I tried to get into the actual emails, but they had password protection, which made me wonder why there was so much security. I realized I would have to be as clever, or more so, than she was in order to get all the proof I wanted, and I still didn't have any hard proof that my wife was actually cheating on me. I guess my married brain wasn't working as quickly as my business brain, and it was hard to believe that my wife, the mother of my 2. I went to the kitchen and got a beer, then I sat on the steps that led to the garage and said, let's see new clothes and underwear. Attitude toward husband changed drastically, phone calls from the same guy, nasty voice and hanging up, panties and bras stained with something that looked very much like semen, aftershave on a blouse that didn't belong to me. Was that what I had gathered so far as proof? Yes. Was it enough to confront her? I didn't know. Was it enough to go see a lawyer? Yes. Did I want that? I didn't know. I was frustrated, mad, and starting to get very sad. Did this mean my wife was cheating on me? I was getting sicker in my stomach as the clues built and built toward a yes answer. Then, as I emptied the trash out of the bathroom and saw 2 empty douche bottles, it looked like she had used 2 of them in a short period of time since the trash had been emptied last time, maybe 3 weeks. I held onto them and put them in the same place I had all the other things I had taken. As I entered the trash can in the garage, I noticed a pack of matches from the Sunset Lounge and Grill, which had a bright pink flamingo on the cover and was all black. I knew I had never been to that place, so they must have come from Lily. Looking through the bills and receipts file, I discovered the following information. There were credit card statements and receipts that showed a charge for a. Then, as I was about to close the desk, I noticed a piece of paper on the bottom of the file. It was a gas receipt from a station near the hotel I had a receipt for. That was proof she was out there, no doubt. She had spent more than one time with him now, but there were receipts for only 2 or 3 nights. If she had been cheating on me for 3 months, where did she go the rest of the time? She was with him, unknown yet. While I was out in the garage, I decided to check my wife's car as well. I looked under all of the seats and the dashboard, and there was nothing. Then, I popped the hood and trunk. As I was checking out the trunk, I dropped my damn flashlight, and it rolled to the back of the trunk and stayed there. Of course, it was that sort of night, and I had to actually climb into the trunk about halfway to get it back out. I bumped my head, yelled some nasty words, and that's when I noticed some When I tried the key, it didn't open any doors or trunks in Lily's car, so I took it and would make a copy of it and put it back in her car. As I looked closer at the match pack and opened it, I saw that there was a map on the inside showing its location out on Route 25 and US 2. I knew a place called Timeless or something like that out that way, and it was an expensive strip club. I knew I'd have to make sure we had a babysitter the next time Lily went out with. I called my friend Larry, who had contacts who could bug phones and PCs and break into password-protected files. I went back in and took a thumb drive and copied the emails I couldn't open. I then packed all the things I had found in a bag and hid them in my car. I went back and took 2 of the outfits that were ripped or torn or that had a button off. There were more than I first realized. There was a skirt with a large rip at the top and a button missing. Then, I waited for my wife to come home. I watched TV, and I think I fell asleep until the front door opened, and in walked my lovely wife, with her skirt riding high on her hips. She smiled at me and said, "You shouldn't have waited up, but it's late, almost 1 a.m. I'm going to bed. I'll talk to you in the morning. I'm really beat." I said, "Sean called earlier, but I guess you saw him." She paused, turned to me, looked angry, and said, "Oh, yes. What the hell were you thinking, asking my boss a bunch of dumb questions? Don't do that again." She began to read me the riot act, saying she had the right to talk to anyone she wanted as often as she wanted. "Who the hell do you think you are, talking to my boss like that?" she continued. "You never question me when my secretary calls me or when I go to meetings. It's the same thing. I'm allowed to have a life outside of this house too, you know." She went on and on about how I never trusted her, how I was always controlling, and how I never respected her, and every word she said cut deeper and deeper into me, and I felt myself shrinking with each sentence. Finally, she said, "I'm going to bed. I'm really tired." There was no "good night" or "I love you." She just turned and walked out of the room. I was irritated, but I decided to wait until I had everything I needed. When I entered the bedroom, I saw her reaching behind her and attempting to unzip her dress, which she was working hard to get off her body. I approached her and began to assist her, but she quickly put on a robe before turning to me. I searched for rips or stains on the dress, but there were none. She said, "What are you looking for?" I did not respond immediately but instead said, "I have your dinner from the restaurant in the refrigerator if you're still hungry. But the lady at the medical center told me you were going to go get something to eat with a couple of other people." I wasn't shocked when she answered, "No, I'm not hungry. We all ate after the operation. I'm going to shower and sleep." She responded, "They told me you left at 9:30 p.m. What took you so long, babe? Who did you go to dinner with in that dress?" She responded, "We ate. We were having fun, but I didn't realize what time it was. Okay, we even went dancing afterward. Yes, I went out in this dress without you. But you know what? Everyone told me how good I looked in it. I was the woman everyone wanted tonight." She went on, "But I was the woman that everyone wanted to drill, bud. It was great, and you know what? I loved all the attention." I grabbed for her arm, but she drew away. "No, bud. Not tonight. That's for sure. Maybe never again. I'm going to take a shower and go to bed. Why don't you sleep in the other room?" I've responded, "What? No fucking way in hell. Who were you with, Sean?" She went on, "Fine. I'll sleep there then. I want peace and quiet, not to be grabbed all night by you." I corrected myself, all I wanted was a kiss goodnight from my wife. "Lily, I wasn't going to attack or assault you. Tell me whom you were out with. Was it Sean Lawson?" She simply stared at me and walked to the bathroom. I followed her and she closed the door. I stood there for a minute before knocking. "I want to know who you were with tonight, Lily. I'm not leaving until you tell me." There was nothing, so I cried, "Goddamn it, Lily, talk to me. What the hell is happening here, to us?" She answered the door, wrapped in a towel, and said, "For God's sake, okay, here's your damn kiss goodnight." As she closed the door, she exclaimed, "God, what a crybaby. Now, will you leave me alone so I can get ready for bed? I'm tired." I kissed her, but she didn't reciprocate it. As I kissed her, I could smell the same aftershave lotion that was on the dress in her wardrobe. I'm not sure why, but I grabbed for her and drew her to me, holding her tight. She grasped the towel and yelled, "Let me go. I want to shower and go to bed. Let go of me, damn you." I saw she wasn't moving at all and was twisting her head to escape my efforts to kiss her again. She was simply standing there as I kissed her cheek and neck. Her face was filled with hatred, and there was no love in her eyes, just despair. I could smell the cologne, and when I finally managed to kiss her lips, it was like kissing a piece of stone. I broke the hug and stared at her. "What's wrong with you?" She expressed it quite clearly. "I want to shower, I'm tired, and I want to go to bed." "Okay, good night. I'll see you in the morning." I replied, "Yes, we have to talk in the morning, Lily. That's for damn sure." She said, "Yes, I know," and began closing the door, but I asked, "What does that mean?" You know. "You know what, Lily?" I pushed the door wide. "No, not now. All I want is to shower and go to bed. Now works for me. Come on, let's talk." She said, "No" again. I responded, "How about I join you in the shower? You looked so hot tonight. You got me all worked up." She responded, "No, go jerk off." "What?" I responded, "What did you say to me?" She said it again, "I told you to go jerk off. You won't be getting any sex from me now. Get out." I was stunned. She had never told me that before. "What right do you have to say that to me? I'm your husband." But I persisted and promised, "I'll make it worth your while." She responded, "No. Let me shower so I can go to bed. If you have that much of an urge, go jerk off." She pushed harder on the door, and I screamed loudly, "No, Lily, I'm not leaving here until you tell me what's going on. I'm asking my wife of 7 years to have sex with me right now, tonight, goddammit." She said, "Well, I'm telling my so-called husband of 8 long years no. Get the hell out of the bathroom." I began to tug on the towel, and she yelled, fighting back, kicking and striking me with one hand, then using both hands to keep the towel from me. I held onto it, slowly winning, until she was either weary or gave up, I wasn't sure, and just let it go and stood there gazing at me. She then said, "Are you happy now?" I looked at her magnificent body and beautiful face, and I saw why she held the towel as tight as she did, and why she didn't want to have sex with me. Her body was red and covered with hickey marks, and as I looked down her body, I saw her thighs red with handprints on them, and then I saw it, there was a dried, stained line on each of her inner thighs, which had to come from where it was still leaking out and running down her leg. "That's why." I said gently, "Lily, what is this?" I went for her and touched her. She jerked back slightly, glanced at me, and took a long breath. "What does it look like, bud?" I responded, "It looks like the same thing that's on a pair of your new panties. It looks like semen." She groaned heavily and pleaded, "Oh, Jesus, please let me take a shower, and then we can talk. Let me clean up first." I inquired again, "Surely, is it semen? Is it Sean?" She stared at me, then down to the floor, mumbling, "Yes." I stood there staring at her and asked again, "Is it Sean?" She said, "Yes." Then she noticed the expression on my face and exclaimed, "Oh God, don't start crying, but be a man. Be one for the first time in your life. Oh, get out so I can shower." I responded, "Do you have any idea why I'm crying, Lily? I'm crying because of the love we don't have anymore. I'm crying because of the feeling of grief and sadness that washed over me tonight when I realized you were cheating on me. I'm crying because we are done as a husband and wife. I'm crying because I have only hate and contempt for you now. It's like I have changed completely over the past 4 hours, Lily. I can." Her eyes fluttered for a moment before she looked away, apparently unmoved. "You are so sad. But you have no idea what has been going on, have you? You just realized it tonight. That's sad. You're sad." She remained there for a few seconds before adding, "Look, I'm really tired. Are you done for now? We'll discuss it until the end tomorrow." "Oh yes, I'm done," I said, "and we are done, Lily. We are done completely. I hope it was worth it. You lost your house, your husband, and I sure hope your kids will see about all that. But I don't just plan to roll over and let you take everything. Even if you do, I still got a newer and better lover. He's a doctor, but is rich and is so much bigger and better than you. He loves me and I love him. We told each other that tonight after we had sex. 2 hours, Bud. I could see her becoming increasingly irritated, her face flushing with rage. That's because your idea of sex is a waste of time. You do it like an old man. Sean does me like a stallion. I was good enough to give you 2 children. She laughed. And what makes you think our children are yours? What makes you think you're the father of any children? You're telling me you know for sure that I'm not the father of our 2 kids. I found myself retreating away from those comments. She smiled and said, I got you worried now, don't I? To tell you the truth, I don't really know. They may be, or they may not. One of the other 2 men I was doing at the time may be the father. None of us used protection because you wanted kids. I never did, and I figured you would take care of the kids, giving me more time to get laid. I figured if either of my lovers got me knocked up, you would think you did it anyway, so I don't know who the fathers are for our Kai. I gasped, absolutely taken aback by what she had just told me. Why? She responded, well, to be honest, you're just as small in the tool department to get anyone knocked up. You're not big enough to deposit that deep inside me to mix with my seed. I exhaled, I am big enough for a normal woman, but for a 30-year-old, maybe I'm not. She cracked a joke. Well, at least you're not sure. That's good. I'll have them tested. She was shouting, the hell you will. You leave our kids out of this, you idiot. I've responded, why, Lily? Why did you stay married to me if you have been cheating on me all these years? She said, for my family and yours, I guess, and for security. You know, I did love you, Bud, when we first got married, but that all changed after the first time I got laid by a real man with a real tool. That was about 3 months after our first child, and I guess he came onto me, and I loved the attention and how I felt, young and free. You took care of the kids, and I let him have me almost every other night for 6 months when we worked together at night. I guess I responded, is Sean the one you've been waiting for? She grinned and shut her eyes. Yes. I inquired, but what about the kids? Her expression hardened and she added, they'll be fine. I'll still be their mother. But I can't keep living a lie with you. I don't love you anymore, Bud. I'm sorry. I stared at her, feeling the weight of everything she had just told me. My world was unraveling in front of my eyes. You're telling me this now? I asked, barely able to keep my voice steady. After everything we've been through. You've been planning this for months, haven't you? You've already made your decision. She didn't say anything right away, but I could see it in her eyes. She knew it was true. She had made up her mind a long time ago, and this was just the final confession. I felt numb. I didn't want to hurt you, but it's over now, she said softly, her voice cold and detached. We've been done for a long time. You just didn't see it. I stood there, feeling as if the earth around me had shifted, and Sean. You really think he's better than me? He's just using you, Lily. He doesn't care about you. He's just using you for his own pleasure. She raised her eyebrows and said, you don't understand. Sean cares about me. He wants to build a future with me. He's not like you. He sees me. He knows me. He appreciates me. And I love him. I really do. I took a long breath, trying to calm myself, but every word she spoke seemed like a hit in the belly, and I didn't know how to reply. You really think this is the life you want? To leave everything behind? To abandon the family? To destroy everything we've built? Lily didn't hesitate to respond, I can't keep living this way, Bud. You may think you know what's best for me, but you don't. I need something more. I need passion, I need excitement, I need a man who can make me feel alive again. Sean gives me that. And is everything you're not. And what about our kids? What about them, Lily? You're willing to walk away from them, from everything we've worked for, just for a fling with a man who doesn't care about them. I could feel the rage boiling inside of me, but I kept it in. She didn't respond right away, she just stared at me, her face unreadable. You're right, they are innocent in all of this. But I need to think about myself, Bud. I've spent so long trying to make this work, but now I realize I've been holding on to something that wasn't even real. I've been living in a lie. And I can't do that anymore. My heart was aching. I had loved her with all of my heart. I had tried to be a decent husband and parent. I had never believed she could abandon everything so simply. You think I'm just going to let you go without a fight? I said, my voice cracking. She caught my stare, and for the first time, I saw something that looked like sorrow in her eyes, but it was short. I don't know, Bud. Maybe you'll fight. But I don't think it'll change anything. I've already made up my mind. I could feel my chest tighten. So this is it. You're leaving me for him. You're just going to walk away from everything. She nodded slowly, her countenance hardening. I'm sorry, but yes. It's over. I'm leaving. I've already packed some things. I'll be back to get the rest soon. And you think this is what's best for us? For the kids? For everything we've built together? She sighed, her face softening slightly. I'm not sure what's best anymore, but I know I can't stay here, pretending everything's fine when it isn't. I don't want this life. Not with you. Not with anyone. There was a long gap, and I didn't know what to say. I wanted to shout and fight back, but I knew it wouldn't alter anything. I had lost her, the lady I had loved and trusted. I gave her a last glance that filled my stomach with grief. I hope you're happy, Lily. I really do. But just know this, what you're doing isn't going to be as easy as you think. You can't just walk away from everything like this and expect it to be simple. There will be consequences. She glanced at me, her eyes hardening again. I'm ready for that. I've already made my decision, and there's nothing you can say or do to change it. I remained there for a time, feeling lost, shattered, and empty, until she turned and walked out of the room without saying anything further. I stood there, transfixed, unable to move, unable to comprehend how everything had come apart so swiftly. I had loved her with every fiber of my being, but it wasn't enough. She was gone. As I watched her go, I felt a feeling of finality come over me. My marriage, my life as I knew it, was over. Let us know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more.